Good morning, friends. I am going to show you how I make and bottle and remake continuous kombucha. Really simple. But before I get into that, I just want to be honest with you and just kind of lay it out there. I have not been consistent with my content. And there are two reasons for that. First of all, technology has totally kicked my butt. And I have struggled with getting, the content from my phone or from my camera to my computer. I mean, nothing would work, and my computer wouldn't accept it, and then the card wouldn't work right, and then the stuff was corrupted, and it's just like, it was just constant, like something was working against me. Like something was working against me. I know who that was. Anyway, then my computer went kaput, and I had it in the shop 3 different times over about a 4 or 5 month period, and it never worked right in between. I'd have to keep taking it back and taking it back, and every time I would, they'd update something, and then that would cause something else not to work, and you know, it was just a vicious cycle. So finally, all of the technology is fixed and figured out. I'm still working with learning how to edit easily. Like, it's still really a chore for me. I get it done, but it's still really a chore. The second thing is, to be very honest with you, and this is pride on my part, I'm sure, but since I have been 13 years old, I don't leave the house without a full face of makeup. I just don't. Never have, never will. But I rarely wear makeup at home. I'm not one of those people that get up and futzes in the morning and does it all and puts on nice clothes and makes sure the hair is just, I don't do that at home. And I've always felt like I had to do that to be on camera. Well, I have finally come to the conclusion that if that's the way it's got to work, this is not going to work for me. I just have to be me, who I am, how I am. You guys are going to have to just take it or leave it. I'm in my pajamas still this morning. Aprons just cover a multitude of sins, don't they? I love this apron. I love you more than biscuits and gravy. I am an apron freak anyway. I love aprons. So, yeah. So anyway, that's my confession, and that's why you haven't seen much from me. I have hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of footage from this summer in my garden, and canning and freeze drying and preserving that I couldn't download onto my computer for a variety of reasons. So I am going to be editing that in between editing the new stuff and putting that out there. So some of it's going to be kind of off season, but it is what it is. It's good stuff, and I don't want to waste it. And so now I'm going to show you how to do kombucha. So I have about a 2.5 gallon container for my kombucha. So I'm using my favorite black tea, which is red rose tea. And this is a caffeinated tea. And I'm using 12 tea bags because I want a nice strong tea. And I'm going to cut the little tags off, and then I'm going to tie it together so that it's easier to pull out of the jar when I'm done. And I honestly don't know whether you can use decaf tea or not. I suppose you could. I've got my half-gallon jar here that I'm going to brew the tea, sitting with just scalding hot water in it from the tap, really hot water, that I have conditioning here, or tempering, so that when I pour the boiling water in, it doesn't crack and break. And I'm doing it slowly, and I'm just kind of swishing it around to temper it, because that water was at a rolling boil, and I just want to make sure that I don't lose not only the jar, but I don't want to lose the tea. So now I'm going to put the tea down in it, and I am just going to let this sit for at least 20 minutes. And so that's really all there is to get it started. It needs to sit for 20 minutes and it needs to brew. Now I'm going to take the SCOBY out of my existing uh, kombucha that is done, and I'm getting ready to bottle. And that is the new SCOBY. Now there's another SCOBY down there that I put in there to make the kombucha that this little SCOBY grew from. And as you can see, it kind of came apart there on me in the layers. But this is that big jellyfish looking sucker. And a SCOBY stands for symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast. So that is a living thing. And this is what my kombucha looked like, and it tasted really, really good. It can go anywhere from 8 days to 2 weeks. It's just completely up to you. I left this go about 12 days, and it's got a nice foamy head on it. So it's a little bit carbonated. I do not second ferment my kombucha. I have a relative who was second fermenting kombucha with fresh strawberries, and she left it just slightly a little bit too long, and everything exploded, and she had sticky strawberry kombucha all over the kitchen. So I won't do that. Plus, we like the flavor of the first ferment. If you just leave it a little bit longer, it'll have a little bit of carbonation to it. But if you want to bottle it, add some fruit or something like that, then you can do that. Now, I don't like these bottles. I can't think of what they're called, but I don't care for them because I can't get them open without prying them open. So I prefer screw top, but when I run out, I do use those. Now it's time to take the tea bags out. It's been probably almost a half an hour, and they are still really hot. Okay, so I am gonna take these tea bags out. It's been at least 30 minutes that they've been in there. They don't have to be in there that long, but I kind of like it good and strong because we have a big, this is, I want to say either 2.5 or 3 gallons. So I want it nice and strong. Okay, so basically now the next step is to put sugar in. You can use any kind of sugar you want. I always use raw cane sugar, organic. And what I normally do is about 3/4 cup per gallon. And since I'm planning on making about 2.5 gallons, let me excuse my reach here. Grab that so I don't lose any sugar. I'm going to put in 2 whole cups. Now you're thinking, holy crap, how can this be healthy? Well, the SCOBY, remember the SCOBY that I pulled out? Got it here on a plate and I've got it covered. It's got lots of kombucha in there and I've got it covered so nothing gets on it. That SCOBY eats the sugar. And so there's very little sugar left whenever this is fermented. So that's how that SCOBY lives, is eating that sugar. Now, if you don't make a continuous batch of kombucha, meaning I drain mine and right away make a whole new batch, then you would be putting this SCOBY in a jar with about 2 cups of your kombucha from here. And then it's safe to sit for a long, long time. I have a jar of SCOBYs over here. Let me show you. It's ridiculous. Oh. I do not need all these SCOBYs. I only need like one extra. But I can't find anybody to take them, and I just hate to throw them away. So if you've got any thoughts on uses for SCOBY or storing them, I mean, I don't know, can they be freeze-dried and still work? Sourdough starter can, so I don't know. If you have any ideas, give me your thoughts in the comments, please, because this is just ridiculous. Hey, if you need a SCOBY, let me know. So anyway, I don't know how many are in there. More than a dozen. Okay, so I've put my sugar in here. And so that's how you store your SCOBYs. Now my SCOBYs, every once in a while, I need to add more sugar, sweet tea to it. So that it will, because it's already got that good kombucha in there, and it's really strong that's in with those SCOBYs. So all I need to do is throw more tea in there just to make sure there's enough liquid in there, and it instantly will ferment and become kombucha. So, or immediately, not necessarily instantly. All right, so I have got to run to town. This is still very hot. So I don't want to add this to anything until it is about room temperature, because it will kill my kombucha tea that I've got in here that's going to be my base starter. You need about 2 cups. There's more than 2 cups in here, but this is a big batch. So I just leave, as soon as it goes below the spout here, I just leave that much. I'm going to venture to say there's a good 3 cups there. But, so I've stirred this up. I'm going to cover it. And I'm going to run to town. And when I put this in here, it is going to need to be watered down. That's not going to fill this up. So I am going to have to add more water. So if it's slightly warm, and I don't think it's going to be by the time I get back, it'll take me a couple hours, then I'll put water first, cold water first, and then I will add this in. You never want to put anything more than slightly warm room temperature kind of water in with your SCOBYs and in with your tea, your already kombucha tea that you've already got there, because it'll kill things off. SCOBY stands for Symbiotic Culture of Bacteria and Yeast, and you will kill that culture if you put hot water with it. Also remember, I don't know if I said this before, but let me say it again, it must be water that is not chlorinated. So if you have a good filter, that'll work. That's what I do. If not, then you can boil your water. You can fill up your container and set it out overnight, and that will give your chlorine time to evaporate off. You know, but just never use chlorinated water, because that will also kill your SCOBY. It'll kill any kind of ferment. So if you're fermenting anything, make sure you're not using chlorinated water. Okay, I'm going to head to town. Wish me luck, and I'll talk to you in a bit. Okay, I'm back, and I've forgotten to turn the mic on. The tea is at room temperature. I'm going to give it a quick stir to make sure the sugar's all dissolved. I'm going to pour it in and then fill it with cold tap water that is filtered. So I have a really good filter on my kitchen sink, and so I am going to fill it with that water. Remember, nothing chlorinated. So we're going to get that filled up, and I'm going to add the SCOBY and the little bit of tea that's sitting in that plate from the SCOBY back in, and then we are going to cover this up to keep it clean, to keep all the dust and germs and dirt and fruit flies or anything like that out of it. I used an old sheet and cut it up in a circle, and then I'm going to put a rubber band around it so that everything is tight and it stays clean and nothing can get in. This needs air though, so you can't put a regular lid on it. It has to be a cloth or a coffee filter or something of that nature. I love you guys. I appreciate it. I hope that you enjoyed this video. And I will see you on the next one. So God bless you. Mwah.